They are literally going back to fixing their branding issues and some of the like the supply issues and all
Yeah.
that other stuff. But
Yeah.
they're going back to a foundation of branding to get people to want to go ahead and buy their stuff. Because if you want to put a template out there for how they do things, they say based off of the thesis that if you have a body, you're an athlete. We're going to show you this spot with people wearing our stuff, whether it's one of their athletes, whether it's a regular everyday person, supercut, all the stuff, people wearing the stuff, boom, 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 boom. Whatever the tag is at the end, swoosh. They never say anything about a price. They don't even generally tell you where to get it because they're so ubiquitous and you're able to get them most places. Like, no, here's the thing. Go ahead and buy it. Okay. The the
I
the Jordan ad.
That unbanned ad is ridiculous. He said when he was like, there'd be no like Mike, people wouldn't be no international players, it wouldn't be these MVPs, it wouldn't be the
They,
fluke game, all that
they
shit.
literally told they literally told you how all that stuff worked in
Exactly.
that ad,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All
and we
the
know it worked. We got the history to say that it worked. There'll be a Jordan 40 coming out. When's the last time he played ball?
Yeah.
shit when he was 40, which was like 20. Shit. Bro.
No, I definitely agree with it. I think that a lot of the conversations that we've been having lately with our guests is the fact that a lot of these brands need to get back to understanding who is your consumer, right? Who's your ICP? You know what I'm saying? What they want. How do they feel about your brand? How do they incorporate your brand into their everyday life, right? Because that's what makes them lifelong fans. That's what makes them continuously become a word of mouth, which is free advertisement and get the word out. You know what I mean? And their influence, like when we talk about like tracking and things of that nature, like how can you influence somebody that you don't even know how many people that one person has influenced to buy your product? You understand what I'm saying? So it goes back to the conversation that we had earlier about that I think a lot of the brands are falling short of that because of the simple fact that they feel like the brand is already established, right? They've sold a certain amount. They're like a household name, right? And they feel like they don't have to do that. And I think those brands are the ones that are actually going to struggle more to survive because they're not getting back in touch with their core audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it goes back to basic principles once
Yeah.
again, because that's literally a basic principle of it.
Right.
And I think sometimes even the way that it's been historically taught, it's taught about everything except for the brand. It's like, oh, you create this thing and people are just gonna automatically gonna want it. And it's like that was more effective back when there were fewer products, fewer so-called brands, because the barrier to entry for a company to sell something was so much higher.
Right.
That barrier to entry is way lower than it
Right.
was back in the day. So now the competitive market becoming even more competitive means you have to do even more in terms of branding and all the other stuff as well. Because one of the things that is super important to understand is that the word "and" is very powerful. It's not doing something or the other thing all the time. More often than not, it's doing this and this and this and this. And that sometimes puts some fear into the hearts of the financial people. It's like, we're on this. Yeah, but if you don't do these things, then you know what's not going to come in? Money. So are you going to do the things that are going to give you the best probability of getting money or not? And how responsible
That's
is
a
that
fact.
to your fiduciary responsibilities for this company?
Yeah.
Places
I
want to be
get
transactional because that's what they measure, because they're
Yeah.
easy to measure. But
exactly.
but if you build relationships, that transactional part, or what we deem as that transactional part, is going to happen more. You know,
Yeah.
once again, like I see the comment that Nike stock is down 32% year to date, and I'm not trying to take away from that. But if we look at some of the reasons why they were super successful, think about Dream Crazy.
Yeah.
Think about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened that day when that came out? People started destroying their stuff, right?
They stood on stuff. But also
But
look at their response to Kyrie, how they treated Kyrie with that and having him leave the brand. There's also been things that have had negative impact on the brand.
no, of course.
Yeah.
But see, but that's the funny thing. That's the other side of the corner, because it's like, okay, wait, we don't feel like you actually rocking Kyrie the way that you rock Colin, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because when they rocked with Colin, people destroyed their stuff that day. Those, and the people who did that were the people who they weren't talking to. Yes, those people who was buying their stuff, but we ain't talking to y'all. So we're staying with the people that we talk to because they actually rock with Colin on this.
Yeah.
And then it was the advanced calculus. It's like, oh, so many of y'all people are the ones who are going to be buying our stuff again anyway, because you ain't going to show up at University of Alabama, University of Georgia, Clemson University without your paraphernalia, right? You ain't showing up without your t-shirts, your hats, your jerseys. Oh yeah, who make those again? Right? So the fact that they're down is in part because they got away from that.
Yeah. But I want you to break it down, because we have a lot of listeners, bro, that are entrepreneurs and stuff like that as well, bro. And I would love for you to break down the difference between the branding and marketing in your sense, right? Because branding, you can't really put you can't attribute brand. You can't really put a value on brand. Brand is just something that is, right? Like you said, it's a verb, something that keeps going, right? You could put sentiment on how people are thinking about your brand, but you really can't value that, right? Versus the marketing, if you're doing digital, you can't do attribution. Like what is the core differences, and what should somebody be focusing on? If I'm a small entrepreneur, what's more important, my branding or my marketing?
I'm going with branding.
Your branding is always going to be more important, because that's who you are. That's who you claim to be. That's who that people are going to connect with or not. Your marketing, the success for your marketing is going to come from your branding.
How strong your brand is. Yeah.
Every time. I deal with people who's like, oh, well, I don't have the time or I don't have the money to work on my branding yet. So what are people buying? Well, they buy my brand. No, they're not. Because you don't have one yet. And if you don't have one, someone's gonna make one up for you.
Message.
So do you want to be a part of what your brand actually is or not? Because once you're able to do that, and I get the fear, like I get that it's hard. Part of the reason it's hard is because you can't guarantee that someone's going to buy from you ever. But your best chance is to make sure that you have a good brand strategy and you have good execution on the branding and marketing. That's your best chance. You mess up on either one of those things, then your chances go down significantly.
But let's go deep into that, bro. So now we're talking brand strategy, right? I'm the solopreneur. I'm the small entrepreneur, 5 employees. I'm working on my brand strategy. You ain't got to give us all the source, but what are some things I should be honing in on?
Understanding who you are, why you exist, why people are going to find you important, and find those people who think that you're important, and actually create relationships with them. That's where it starts. It starts with the basic principles. It starts with having something that has a purpose for people and being able to explain why your purpose is different from whoever your competitor is, because we all have competition. I don't care who you are, we all have competition. Whether it's indirect or direct, we all have competition.
Message.
Why you can do it better, why it's going to be better for the people that you're going to be able to service. Because those are the people that you have to make sure that you take care of. And that's not to say that you can't take care of other people who may be like a level or two out from that, but you have to make sure that you're taking care of the people who are always going to ride with you. That's who you're trying to get. You're trying to get that community of people who want to ride with you no matter what. As long as you do right by them, they're going to do right by you. That's really the thing to get people. That's where the starting part is. That's the starting part for Nike. That's the starting part for Apple. That's the starting part for the Amazons. Even though they ain't a favorite right now, but that's the starting part for a lot of other people. There's something to be said about necessity, but at the same time, there's something to be said about understanding if people want to give you their money, you have to keep that relationship going because they will willingly give you their money.
Message.
Bro.
Yeah, it also, Cuzzo, you already know what it is because I know you asked the question, but I know you know the answer because we live branding every single day. It's the things that you talk about every single day. It's the fact that you always say we can go out and the people can talk to us and they see us and they see us in the hood and that's branding. All of that is branding, right?
Absolutely.
We are living what we are talking about so that they know it's not a facade. So when people deal with us or they watch the show, then they see us in the community, they see us in these small businesses. They like, no, these dudes do this for real. This is who they are. This is what they represent. Now, when people buy into that, they know exactly what they're buying into, right? So yeah, right. Some some guests people will love, right? Some guests we might think, oh, we got to, this high of a tier of a name of a guest, and look, the numbers might not reflect to people connecting to it, right? Because obviously there's always a choice, right? People connect to things differently, but what does everybody always say when they see us right now? Like, you guys are the real, right? We believe in what you're doing and you guys are making an active change. That's the branding part to it, right? Absolutely. They believe in the brand of the more than the title brand, right? And we personify that and we live that. And I know you asked the question, but we actually live that every single day. And you talk about that.
Exactly. And that's part of the important thing. Sorry, my plug is wilding. Let me fix my plug real quick.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's Steve Nash, but that's real talk. That's the impact. But that's why we asked it, right? Because we know I want to hear from somebody that does it, that's worked with major brands.
Absolutely.
Impact over the metrics, right? This is what we preach all day, every day, Gary. We always say impact over metrics. Because once again, like you said, we might get 20,000 views on this video, right? We might get 10,000, 5,000, but guess what? It's more important for me when I'm going to get eggs on with my kids. We going to school in the morning. Somebody stopped me 7 o'clock in the morning and say, I love what you're doing, bro.
Right.
Like, how do you put a value on that, right? You 7 in the morning, you stop me to say something?
Because that's the thing. Like, it's not even so much impact over metrics, it's impact using metrics.
Okay.
Because put everything together.
Absolutely.
Right? So who's to say that video that did 5,000 as opposed to one at 20,000, that 5,000 didn't lead to the other 20? Well, who's to say that thing that started off with 5,000 doesn't get 1 million in the future somewhere when it's time?
Right.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, we have to there is a lot about living in the moment, and I don't want to take that away. But once again, what's the and to that? What's that impact going to do? Because sometimes we can't always measure the impact, or we can't see all the fruits of the impact, because there's stuff that's happening in the background that we don't even know until that thing happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Who's to say that the next CEO of the next Nike or Apple is watching this right now? And 3-5 years from now, they're like, I remember this one episode that maybe didn't get the amount of hits, or maybe it did. Who knows?
Right.
Because you don't know where that person going to be or where they're going to find you. But when they do, boom, some super fly shit happen.
That's a fact.
Yeah, it's been we got a lot of super fly shit just because of shit like that, like you said. Real talk. You never know who's watching, man. We had one of the craziest ones. I don't know if we tell the story all the time. We had Serena Williams' pops come on the show, call in. We had somebody, he was watching the whole live show. I remember one of our posts, we had the CEO of Stars Entertainment like it.
Mm-hmm.
Like stuff like that. Right? It was random stuff. Like, so you never know who's watching. We had Albie Shaw. So many people, man.